This episode of How Pastors Are Made takes us down to DeSoto, Texas, where there is an emerging, energetic group of young adults and teens known as Come As You Are, or Kaya Dallas. I was able to join them for their Good Friday service and afterwards sat down with their young leader, Pastor Samuel Pryor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of How Pastors Are Made. I am your host, Miles Brown, and I am here tonight. This is Kaya Dallas at New Covenant Missionary Baptist Church here in DeSoto, Texas. I am super excited to be here today, speaking with Brother Samuel, Pryor. And it's funny, one of the pastors I recently spoke with, his name is Samuel as well.
Very cool.
That was down in Mississippi, though, Samuel Sago.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just super excited to be here. When I reached out to this brother, he had an exuberant attitude, which made me just excited to really just finally meet you in person.
Yes, sir.
I know some people that's been following you, probably you done ran into them. I'll tell you who they are later if you don't already know.
Small one.
But I'm just super excited to be here and speak with you today. How Pastors Are Made is a show where we go through the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and downs of becoming and being a pastor.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the conversation goes. I literally never know because only you know what God has brought you through.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's what we're gonna find out today. First things first, how are you doing today, man?
Man, I can't complain. I am excited. I did some research and followed your podcast and what you're doing. And so firstly, bro, what you're doing is amazing. It's necessary. So I thank God for you. You're necessary for the kingdom, man. So I appreciate you. But overall, man, all is well. We just finished some services for the weekend, so I'm tired, but I'm ready to go, bro. This is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, bro.
Absolutely. You just got done preaching a good word.
Oh, bless you, bro.
A good word.
Thank you.
I sit and I listen. I mean, clearly I participate some as well,
Yes,
but
sir.
I enjoy listening to the sermon.
Yes, sir.
And seeing who's actually studying, who's actually reading, and are you giving us something that God really gave to you?
Yes, sir.
Which, you know, it's not something that comes from everybody. And it's not something that comes all the time. Sometimes you give just what you know because people need it. And sometimes you give what you have because God gave it to you.
Yeah,
and
man.
I feel like today you gave us some things
Man,
that God gave to you.
God be praised. I always tell people a lot of times two things when I preach. One, I have to understand and remind myself I'm a puppet. I'm a puppet, man, and God is the ventriloquist, or however you say that word, bro.
It's good enough.
Yeah, but man, every week in and week out, man, I try my best to hear from God and let God preach. Let God guide my mind, guide my thoughts, guide every aspect of the sermon, because at the end of the day, only God can save. Only God can bring revelation and clarity. And that's what people come week in and week out to receive. And so I definitely try to be submitted, let God do the preaching. And I say what he tells me to say, and I sit down, and we give all glory to God, man. So
Well, amen.
that's all.
Listen, let's hop on this journey to you becoming the minister, the pastor that you are today.
Yes, sir.
I understand that you were raised in the church.
Born in
You're a lineage
Yeah.
of ministers that you come from, but nobody is born as a pastor. So
Right.
first things first, do you mind letting us know what your upbringing was like? And then the next thing I want to know from you is what was the moment that made you say, Jesus, I give you my life?
Okay, wonderful question. So my upbringing, man, I am the epitome, the definition of a church baby. I can literally count on one hand how many Sundays of worship I've missed in my life. Like literally on one hand, and it's not more than 3. I'm a church baby. I come from a family of pastors. I come from a family of pastors and of preachers, man. My grandfather was a pastor, organized a church called New Birth Baptist Church, a legendary preacher, a staple in the DFW community. Recently, they named a street after him. He was the example. And then my father has been my pastor since I was born. I have a late uncle who served as a pastor. And then I have some cousins who were preachers and pastors. My big brother is actually a pastor. So, man, I come from a lineage of preaching and pastors. But one of the beauties of my family, especially my father, is he made it abundantly clear to me as a young child growing up, you don't have to preach because we preach. He always said preaching is not some type of empire that you just do because your family did it, and now you next in line. He always made it abundantly clear to me that preaching is a calling that only comes from God. And so he never put that pressure on me. And so I was born in it. Can I be very honest with you? I knew as a child I was called to preach. I was actually telling a friend of mine this week, I remember the day I knowingly gave my life to Jesus. I was 6 years old.
Pause for just a second.
Yes.
I thought I was young. I was just 6 years old.
Yeah, bro, 6.
Okay, I just have to make sure I heard that. Go ahead.
We were in a small white church, 7905 Hume Street in Pleasant Grove, Texas. It was a 3 o'clock service. There was a preacher. I don't remember his name, but I remember vividly what he said. He was preaching. He was coming to the close of his sermon, and he's closing, and he's going through that gospel ending. He died, but early Sunday morning, he rose again. And he said, if you get on your knees and pray, Jesus, come into my life, save my life, you shall be saved. And I'll never forget it, bro. I was 6 years old. I sat in that seat, and I didn't say it verbally, but I said it in my heart and in my mind, Jesus, come into my life and save me. And I know that's when I was saved. Then around 12, 13, I fell in love with the church. I fell in love with preaching. I fell in love with the aspect of the body of Christ. And literally, I remember being 12 or 13, bro, walking around my middle school as if it was my church. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my thing. And I've known since a young age I was called. But out of fear, I didn't accept that calling fully until I was 19.
No, okay. Yeah. That's something I want to get into because that fear is something that a lot of people have, and for a lot of different reasons. I just spoke with a couple. They're both in ministry, and the lady said that she didn't want to take on the title of pastor because she didn't want the extra responsibility that comes along with handling that kind of a mantle. Yeah. So you said you knew as a child.
I knew.
Before I get to your fear, and before you accept the calling at 19, PKs have one heck of a reputation in these streets.
They do.
Okay. If you're comfortable, I don't know if you lived up to that reputation, but if you did, do you mind letting us know how you went through that? And if not, how did you avoid living up to that reputation of pastors' kids, preachers' kids?
Yeah.
Are just the worst.
Crazy. Yeah. So the reputation, like you said, it's a known reputation. And there were some aspects of my teenage years where I lived up to a typical PK. But here's the thing I like to say. I have never put any type of cigarette or blunt to my mouth. I ain't never been to no club, none of that. And I'm not saying this to brag on myself. I'm just telling you that to tell you that most of the sinning I did happened in the church. And I wasn't just sinning with the PKs. So I every time I hear that notion, PKs, I want to tell people, the PKs were sinning with non-PKs.
Come on now.
So all of us were in the same boat.
I tell people all the time, this is my personal opinion. I don't think because I'm a pastor's kid as well.
Yeah, man.
I don't think we're any worse than anybody else. We're just held to a higher standard because of who our daddy is.
Higher standard, which, bro, if I could be honest, isn't even fair. Because at the end of the day, just how you had that same grace to be a kid, pastors' children have to have that same grace. It just so happens that their father said yes to God. That's all it is. And so, yeah, man. So I definitely did my fair share of devilishment, just being crazy, just being a young man trying to grow up and find my way. But it's actually interesting, and I'm glad this kind of went there, because a lot of my acting out that I did outside of just, my natural proclivities were a lot of times trying to fit in. Because I was the PK, and because my teachers knew who my granddad was, knew who my dad was, because I would be in public like, I'm going to tell your daddy. You don't even know my daddy, but you just want to use that name drop. But because there was that higher standard that I was sometimes unfairly held to, a lot of the things I got into were just a product of a young kid wanting to fit in, wanting to say, hey, I'm just like y'all, so let me do what y'all doing. And I never forget my senior year of high school, my godmom, Mama B, Brittany Burnley, I love her. She looked at me one day. She was my anatomy teacher. and she saw me hanging out with some friends, and we were just talking boy talk, right? And she says, Sam, come here. I come, she says, stop trying to fit in. You're not like them. She said, I've watched you all year, and you're just wanting to fit in. And it was at that moment I realized she ain't lying, and I hope this serves as an encouragement, whether you're a PK or whether you are growing in your journey with Jesus, or you're new to the faith, or you have a call on your life that maybe you haven't fully accepted. God never called us to fit in, right? Paul called us a chosen people, a peculiar people, different. And we should stop trying to fit in places where God called us to stand out.
Man, that's good. I know a lot of people, myself included, struggle with that some. I want friends too.
I want to be
and
normal.
I want people to like me. I want to be able to hang out. And the way my dad raised me, he was so strict.
Really?
My dad had us under lock and key. Well, I appreciate him for it now.
It saved us from some stuff.
Growing up, you don't know how much stuff your parents are saving you from.
Absolutely.
Until you have a conversation with them, and some of the things that my dad saw and experienced, and
Bluetooth disconnected.
that can get me.
Pairing.
I don't know. That's the devil. I'm sorry.
But the things that he went through and saw and sheltered us from.
Absolutely.
I'm so appreciative of that now, because I see where other people are without that kind of guidance.
And brother, a lot of times, man, how I look at it now is a lot of that sheltering, we probably experiencing it, we probably called it punishment. But like in retrospect, it was protection, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. So I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So you said at 19, you decided, I'm going to take on this, I'm going to accept the call of God on my life.
Yes, sir.
Now, when that happens, are you accepting a position as pastor, or are you just accepting, I'm a walk into ministry, go to theology school, something like that? Like, what does that look like?
So at the tail end of high school, so I played basketball my whole high school career.
Oh, what position were you playing?
Man, I was a point guard. I was a lefty. I was a little short, but I was a combo guard. We hard to guard, man. Hey, I'm trying to tell you, something different. I used to. But it was the end of that senior year. I realized playing ball in college wasn't in the cards for me. And that wasn't hard to accept. I was cool with it. And so now I'm starting college, and this goes back to around maybe my sophomore year of high school. I know God has called me into ministry. But again, out of that fear and that wanting to fit in, I ran from it. And so fast forward, the end of my senior year in high school, I knew God had been calling me to take over the youth ministry at our church. We were in a spot of transition. My big brother, who was our youth pastor, God had assigned him to go plant a church. And so maybe for a year and a half, someone who's actively pouring into the youth was vacant. And I knew God had called me to it. I envisioned it. I saw it. God showed it to me. But I was fearful, right? Because again, I was scared of acknowledging that call. And it's kind of like God, I love God for it. God just essentially said, well, if you ain't going to do it, I'm going to just put you in position to do it. So I'll never forget, man, me, my mom, and my dad were at lunch. I'll never forget at Papados. And my dad was kind of talking about the state of the church. And he said, hey, man, I feel like God is calling you to do something with him. And it was crazy because he didn't know that I had
you
been
already having this conversation with God.
Yeah, he didn't know. And he just said it. And when I tell you that burden was lifted, bro, because it was like, I can finally be okay with saying yes. And so that happened the summer of 2019. And we started a youth ministry. So for context, my dad's church is a smaller church. And so we again, our youth ministry was in transition. And man, we started in this small, actually was the nursery room of the church. And we started with about maybe 7 youth. 5 of them were my cousins, right? And I remember that first year, bro. If I wanted 10 people to show up, I had to pick up 6 of them.
Yeah.
And it was really a building season, man. And but it was probably one of the most fun seasons of my life. I learned the discipline of discipline. I learned what being faithful truly looks like. I'll never forget, bro. It was a Wednesday night, and I was ready to teach, and only 3 people was there. They showed up. And I'll never forget, before I walked in, I was with one of my cousins, and I was so discouraged. And he looked at me, and he said, well, Sam, these 3 need Jesus too. You right.
Cousin was preaching.
Yeah. And he didn't even know it. And
A
if you
whole
know my
word.
cousin, he's the furthest person from a preacher. You know? But he told me, I'll never forget it. And I walked in that room and I preached in front of those 3 people as if it was 300 in there. And so that journey gets started and God grows it. God grows it. When I envisioned starting this ministry, we called it the Life Room. Live in faith every day. We called it the Life Room. Yeah. And God blessed it, bro. Every Wednesday evening, late 2019, early 2020, God blessed it, bro. And it was college students, mainly college students who were like at the community colleges in the area, were coming. And we had grew to about 30 to 35 college students. And can I tell you, bro, that was my prayer. Whenever I envisioned doing young adult or youth ministry, I just wanted 30 young people.
I mean, to be honest with you, that's a good, solid number.
That's all I wanted. And I thought I was a success. And man, it was great. And what I noticed then was God had graduated it from youth. Because what happened, a lot of my peers were coming in. And so it was basically a young adult ministry. And God called us to pivot. And so we said, you know what? We're gonna branch out and start a community. Because what happened was, remember, it was only about 5 youth at the church. So all the other 25, 30 people were coming from around the community, which was weird. You know, in youth church, typically it's the youth from the church that comes. No, this thing started growing not from inside out, but from outside in. Yeah. And so we were like, you know, we're going to branch into a community young adult ministry. And we're going to call it Kaya. Come as you are. And our debut day was April the 8th, 2020. We never got to get to it because
That's crazy.
Early March 2020, COVID happened.
Sheesh.
And so that taught me how to adjust, how to pivot. And yeah, bro, that's a whole nother story in itself, man.
I gotta dig into that a little bit because
Please,
COVID is
yeah.
such a massive. The impact of COVID is still being felt.
Absolutely,
today.
absolutely.
Which is 5 years later.
Absolutely,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, what do you do when you intend to start a ministry? Pretty much, you are doing it, but intend to do things.
We were
one way.
rebranding it. Yeah.
And you never get the opportunity to have the in-person effect. How do you navigate that and then come back? Because by the time I saw you, which I first heard about you probably 4 or 5 months ago.
Way cool.
I don't know if you knew that. I saw you a minute ago, okay?
Okay.
Like I said,
Cool deal.
I know some people that have been posting about some stuff that happens here. So first of all, I appreciate your obedience and your servanthood.
God be
because
praised,
it's
man.
helping folks.
Yes,
But
sir.
so how do you navigate that and get to where you are now
Yeah.
instead of just saying, oh, I literally can't bring people together, so we're done?
Man, can I be honest with you? I did not handle it well at first. I hated it. To this day, my team will tell you, some of them are in here watching, I hate virtual stuff. I don't have Zoom meetings with my leadership team unless I have to. I hate everything about it. I hate virtual. They tell me to this day, you know, when we go live, make sure you engage people who watching online. You know, tell people to share. I won't even think about it. I absolutely hate virtual things. I know it's necessary, but I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I like the intimacy of in person.
Yeah.
And so I did not handle it well. In fact, while all these other ministries and churches and youth and young adult ministries were doing live recordings on YouTube and Instagram lives and all of that, for the first 6 to 7 weeks, I didn't do anything.
It's
We just gonna
it's
take a
done.
break. I'm not doing it because
We'll come back when people come back.
that's all it was. Not knowing
People ain't
if
coming
or
back.
will we ever come back. Yeah. And so, bro, I didn't like it. I hated it. And maybe out of all of that time in COVID when we were not in the building, bro, I gotta tell you, I probably only taught maybe 3 to 4 Bible studies live. Did not like it. So it was hard but one of the blessings of it, and there's so many blessings. Let me tell you, there is no Kaya if it were not for COVID, and we'll get there.
Okay.
But I did not like it, but it taught me back to that faithfulness piece. Even when the circumstances are not in your favor, God still calls you to be faithful.
Amen to that.
Like faithfulness, our faithfulness cannot be contingent upon our convenience. You know what I'm saying? We have to be faithful. Literally, when Paul tells Timothy in season and out of season, that was an out of season moment of life for me. But I had to learn faithfulness. It was a moment where I had to sit and check my heart. Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you just doing it so you can be in front of people? Or are you doing this because I called you to do it? And when you called to do it, you will do it in front of an empty sanctuary, in front of a full sanctuary, whatever, man. And it really taught me faithfulness and stewardship to the call he gave me.
Like what you just said right there, why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
I had a period, I ain't said this on none of the episodes yet, so if you didn't know me growing up, you just don't know
special.
this.
Yes, sir.
So growing up, I used to dance in church a lot. Y'all had a dance today. It brought back memories.
Yeah.
And when I say we danced a lot, I mean, we danced a lot.
Yeah.
It was...
Were you a mom?
No, I didn't. I never put the paint on, never had the gloves. That wasn't me. We danced.
Yeah.
And some of the dance wasn't as traditional as people would think.
Right.
I was just telling someone the other day, like, we put the chicken head at a dance one time and people lost. They did what?
Right, what are we doing?
But we were dancing.
Yeah.
And so we were like, anyways, we was really dancing. And we used to dance so much. I mean, I remember dancing for the different city events and for the Ronald McDonald House and 2 and 3 different churches on the same day. Like
man.
In Southern California, so like we living in Redlands, driving to San Bernardino, hopping on the freeway all the way to Los Angeles, and like we were.
And that traffic out there ain't no joke.
That LA traffic is something serious.
Man.
I don't recommend it to
Nobody.
But I remember a time where I kind of felt like I didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And I realized the only reason I enjoyed doing it was to be in front of people and to hear the good jobs and things like that. And I didn't really find something else that I would really do without major applause until I started speaking.
Wow. Way cool.
So when you said that, like that finally clicked to me. I was like, yeah, that was the first thing since dancing that I was like, I'll do this if it's just a couple people.
And let me tell you, bro, because doing it for the applause and stuff, that gets played out real quick.
It do.
Because them applause don't mean anything when you burnt out. You know, like if you doing it for the amens and the applause from the people, then what you gonna do with them? Like how they did Jesus with them hosannas turned into crucifying.
Yeah,
it gets played out real quick. And so I was in that same boat, bro. I had to check my why, and when I checked my why, everything started falling into place.
Okay. So you mentioned, I have to jump to this because I got to be sure I don't forget it. You said without COVID, there's no Kaya.
Yes, sir.
How does that work out? Because you have got to be the only person in ministry that I've talked to that said anything positive about COVID for their ministry.
Let me tell you, brother, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to my ministry.
Goodness gracious.
There is no Sam Pryor, and I don't want to, for whatever it might mean, whatever my ministry may mean to people, and I don't want to assume that it means a lot to people, but if it means anything to anybody, thank God for COVID. Let me tell you why. So remember, April 8th, we wanted to start the young adult ministry. At that time, there were maybe a few, especially in the context of the black church in our city, that had young adult ministries. Probably a handful that we knew. And I knew God was leading me there. And so we were going to try to go out and get young adults, right? COVID happens. We're at home for a few months. And I thank God my father was one of the first pastors in the area to open up the doors again. Now, granted, we weren't bunching people in, but literally, we literally put every seat in the room in the sanctuary 6 feet apart. We put about 50 seats in the whole room, 6 feet apart, and he opened the doors of the church. And so, whereas we used to, our plan was we were going to do Kaya on Wednesdays. Wednesday evenings. Well, due to COVID, my dad was like, listen, we're not having this building open multiple days through the week because that's cleaning, that's giving us more risk of being exposed. So he said, the only time you're going to be able to do it, we sat down, he said, you're going to have to do a Sunday evening. Okay? So we tried. And we put it out. Hey, y'all, come back. Kaya is starting. And here's why it was the biggest blessing. We're one of the only ministries that's open during this time. We want to reach young adults. Well, guess what COVID did? It shut the colleges down. So everybody's virtual. It's not in the mornings, so it didn't conflict with people who had home churches, right?
Yeah.
They could do that, and then they could come in the evening, or you had the young adults who weren't doing church. And so this worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And so, man, within a span of so we reopened. We were supposed to open April 8th, but God allowed us to reopen 2 days away from that exact day. So we opened up June 6th.
Okay.
On a Sunday evening, and the rest was history. Let me tell you, bro, God affirmed so much where it literally became the hangout spot for young adult ministry.
That's the best thing for a ministry.
And so, bro, we were having problems because this is COVID, and people and parents and even the staff at our church were concerned because this church is jammed packed. During COVID, everybody had to wear a mask, but every seat is filled. We had to add seats on the stage. We had to add seats in that overflow room. It was jam packed because young adults had nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. And God affirmed. And so where our peak was 30, and that was my prayer, man, there were some days in the middle of COVID, bro, we were seeing over 100 young adults.
Man.
And yeah, God, it was the best thing that ever happened.
That's
to our
crazy.
ministry.
That's crazy.
Yeah, God be praised.
That sentence, I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
It makes sense. But that sentence, COVID was because I speak to pastors like they hated COVID-19, of course, for the devastation, but it's
Right.
like as far as their personal ministries are
Right.
concerned, that was like the deterioration
Yeah.
of a lot of ministries. There was
Yeah.
not only was there not growth, there was substantial lack and
Yes.
loss
In every area.
everywhere.
Every area, bro.
So for you to say, hey, I know that this was a terrible time, but because of how it worked out, it allowed me to reach people. It's just something crazy for me to think about.
The best thing.
But so moving forward, you are 19 years old.
Yeah.
When you finally say, I'm a step into ministry. I don't remember if you answered. If you did, I apologize. Did you immediately step into being the youth pastor?
Yes.
Okay. That first year being a youth pastor, what's that experience like?
It was fun. It was fun. And I start with that because especially if young preachers or young aspiring leaders see this, I want you to know you can have fun while serving God.
You can say that part twice.
You can have fun while serving God. And I really mean this because especially when we step into pastoral leadership, so many people get so uptight. You know, yeah, okay. But it's okay to have fun doing what you're doing. And I genuinely, then and now, preaching is some of the most fun things I do in my life.
Man, I don't know a single preacher who's like, nah, I don't want to preach this Sunday.
Yeah.
Give them a chance. Yeah, sure.
Bro, I had a guest preacher come in and share with us last week. It took everything in my power not to call and say, hey, man, I want to preach. I'm sorry. I love preaching. I love leading this ministry. I love it. So that first year, man, it was fun. Also, it was fun because for the first time in my life, I was able to tangibly see God grow something. And so that took an adjustment, but I loved it. And so that first year, bro, granted, I had a lot of growth to make as far as preaching, teaching, study, discipline, making sure I'm interpreting the text right, all that good stuff.
It's so much more than people think.
So much more. Yeah, I had a long ways to go, but I was having fun while making the journey. Ministry didn't start getting hard for me till maybe 2-3 years in. But
Okay.
that first year and a half, I was living the life, bro.
Okay.
I loved it.
So 2-3 years in is when ministry gets hard. We're going to get to that
Yeah.
in just a second. But first, I want to ask you a question because you do stand in a position of not just a preacher, but a pastor. And you mentioned your team, which means you're leading people in more ways than some people think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When did you realize you needed a team, or did you come in knowing like whoever was leading you, hey, when you step into this, you need a team? And then what is it like to find and curate the team that is effective for you?
Beautiful question. Okay. So remember I told you end of high school, I played basketball. Varsity since freshman. I loved it. I was actually kind of good at it. And one of the biggest things that season of sports taught me was the importance of teamwork. So all my life, I always emphasized teamwork. I mean, when I was playing football, we did a team. When I was in basketball, we were a team. Even the coaches had a coaching staff, a team of coaches, right? And so I implemented that vision going right in on the bat. I knew I needed a team. Dr. Darius Daniels has a quote. He says, you will only go as far as your team goes. Somewhere along the lines, forgive me if I misquoted him, but it's somewhere along those lines about, I knew and I was blessed that God revealed this to me at an early time. You need a team if you're going to be healthy. Any ministry that's built and centered off of the personality is one that won't last.
That's doomed to fail.
It can't last because what happens when that personality goes through whatever?
That's why it's doomed to fail.
Absolutely. And so I knew then when I needed a team. Now, here's the challenge. You know you need a team, but you got to go through the process of learning, for the second part of your question, what kind of team works for you.
Yeah.
And so over this 5-year journey, we've had transitions of different leadership teams, of people, of plug and plays. Granted, some were because just transition happens, right? Moving or different things, right? But it took me a while to find a team that works for me. One, because I was still learning myself as a leader. And so I was still learning my strengths and my weaknesses. And see, I need a team.
That's a journey all by itself.
Yeah. And bro, I need a team around me who can complement my weaknesses. And it's dangerous for a leader to get to a point where they don't recognize their weaknesses anymore. Because then you recognize, or rather you lose sight of areas you need help in. And so I realized I need a team because I'm not strong in every area. Then I realized the kind of people I need on my team. Like, I can't do lazy people. I can't do it. And so the kind of team that works for me is a team who has drive. Also a team who loves Jesus, right?
Wait, because that's a whole thing that people would be surprised.
Yeah.
There are ministries
Yeah.
who the team that helps make the ministry go, they just want to know, are you talented at your job, your task?
And let me tell you, over the years, as God has kind of blessed our ministry to, in many ways, and I say this completely bragging on God, how God has blessed our ministries to kind of be an example for other young adult ministries in the area, or where people have called and asked how this and how that. You'd be surprised, a lot of people have come here to serve as a resume builder. So I'm really only coming here to build my portfolio. I'm really only coming here to give me a platform. I'm really only being a part of this just because it feeds my ego, or for whatever reason. But you need people who love Jesus for real.
Yeah.
People, because see, if this is only a job, or if this is only a gig, or if this is only something to build your portfolio, the moment you get frustrated, you quit. The moment you get tired, you quit. The moment it gets hard, you quit. And let me tell you, serving in ministry, you're going to get tired, it's going to get hard, and you're going to want to quit. Right? But when what you do is rooted in your love to God, and it's what Paul says is your reasonable service unto him, it's you literally offering your life as a living sacrifice, it gives you that, what my dad calls that sticking power, the power to stay when it gets hard.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing I look for, is a team who actually loves Jesus.
Yeah.
And who's not doing it for any other motive. And then I go about a team, like I said, who are good in my weaknesses. I'm not good with social media. So I need a team who's good with social media.
Yeah, I might be able to help you with some of that a little bit later, but it'll be a whole conversation. We'll see.
Yeah, I need a team who I need people on my team who's creative. Because, I can be creative, but sometimes it's hard. I need a team who can help keep dates in line, because about me, I'm very impulsive. I'm the kind, when God showed me something, I get happy, and I say, let's do it yesterday.
When I reached out to you, was like, we can do it Sunday. I was like, oh, snap. I wasn't, okay, I mean, let's do it, but I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, bro, like, I'm the kind, and I need that person on my team who can say, hey, Pastor Sam, respectfully, we already got this and that on the calendar.
Yeah.
Right? And I need that, right? And so I think one of the best ways to build out a good team is a team who are disciples of Jesus first. Secondly, a team who can complement your weaknesses. And one of the privileges that God, since this is a young adult ministry, is a lot of people on my team, it's been their first time really getting their hands dirty in ministry. And so God has also used that to open a door as a discipleship mechanism. That while you're serving here, now we can disciple each other.
I hope the folks that work with you understand how awesome it is to have the opportunity, because discipleship sometimes comes like for the people who get to work with you, discipleship came easy.
It does.
Sometimes discipleship ain't easy. It is not even always free.
Unfortunately.
Like, let's be honest. It's not even always free.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's a lot that they have to go through to get good discipleship, whether that's paying a cost, which sometimes I don't agree with. Sometimes I do agree. I'm not gonna lie. That's a whole thing. We're talking about Bible and money. That's a whole long conversation.
Off the podcast.
But I would say, like, to have the opportunity to have someone who's willing to not just say, hey, this is the task I need done, but I'll really disciple you and know that they're actually going to disciple you according to not just themselves, but let's see what the scriptures actually mean and talk about, and how is it applied. Man, because I know, without saying any names,
absolutely,
there are a ton of people who got discipled and they don't know what the gospel is.
Right.
Forget all the other stuff that we could learn. They don't know the gospel.
Because can we take it there? A lot of times, for some leaders, they're not interested in creating disciples. They're interested in creating clones.
Absolutely. That's why I said I hope they're thankful for having somebody that's really going to pour into them.
They want clones. They want, I want you to do what I do, think how I think. And there's a place for sharing the heart of your leader. I'm not knocking that. But they want clones. They want yeses. All right? They want a lot of pastors want teams where the team serves them, not the vision of the house.
This is one way I know that you actually care about the people. The fact that you view their servanthood as an opportunity for discipleship.
Yeah, and let me tell you, bro, and it's some watching in here. My team has turned into family. So our meetings, our meetings don't even feel like meetings. Our meetings literally go like this. We meet weekly. We show up, we open up in prayer, we gonna laugh in the meetings, we gonna maybe cry in the meetings, we gonna crack jokes in the meetings, and then we gonna get the work done. But it's family. We don't go home. We typically every Sunday we at somebody's house or at somebody's restaurant eating dinner. We probably hang out outside of ministry 2 to 3 times a week. They call my mama Mama Pryor. They've been to my house. I've been to their houses. We take trips together. Like it doesn't even feel like a church staff.
Yeah,
it's family. And the beautiful thing is we understand what it is. And then the best part with the team, and I get really passionate about the team aspect of it, is remember I said like a lot of them who come, it was really their first time getting their hands dirty in ministry. Bro, one of our people on our team came in, she gets baptized, and bro, a year later, she's leading our women's discipleship group. There's another young lady on our team who comes in. Her dad was a PK, but she really wasn't involved like that. Bro, now she's my executive assistant here. She's the go-to person coordinating groups, and she's doing it at her daddy church at the same time now.
Oh,
our leadership team now, she's in here. She came in super shy, and now one of the leading voices within this house. Like there's another who's coming in, serves, creatives, brings so much, and is about to get baptized. Like it is to see the personal growth. I didn't say it was him. I didn't, but it is it is the personal growth that they're not serving me, but to see God growing something in them.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's why I like doing the teamwork.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I got a few more questions.
Yeah, bro, I'm enjoying this too. I'm sorry if I'm talking to you.
No, you're good. You're good. I got a few questions, and I don't know which one I'm gonna go with first. So I guess the first one I'm gonna go with is I see on your arm.
Yes, sir.
You got tattoos.
Yes, sir.
What do do they say anything? I wasn't able to read.
Yeah. So one says God is faithful.
Okay.
Then the other one is my favorite scripture, Galatians 6:9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a fight being a PK with your family?
Yeah.
Or did you have a fight with the church as a whole, walking in one day with ink on your arm?
Not with the church. I actually tell you though.
Okay.
Early on with my parents, you know, they were like, "Oh, you ain't getting no tattoo," and I was like, "Y'all, like, you know, it's the word. I'm getting the word on me." Oh, the Bible say, "Hide the word in your heart."
That's good.
Yeah, that was a real good comeback. Yeah, but bro, I was moved to do it, and I did it. It was so funny. Beforehand, my mom was like, "Ah, don't you come in my house? I don't want to see it." And then the day I got it, "Come on, baby, let me help you wash it." You know, it was funny. But once they saw it, parents are parents, they love you.
Yeah.
And so once they saw this, it was like, all right. Now, the church, I didn't get one piece of pushback. And in fact, so beautiful, especially within Kaya, it actually opened the door. And I'm not telling preachers, get tattoos so you can be able to build relationships with your people. No, I'm not saying that.
Terrible reason.
Yeah, terrible, right? But when people noticed it, I had young adults, because a lot of people in Kaya got tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they came to me and said, "Hey, you got tattoos. What yours say?" Oh, Galatians 6:9. What does that say? Right, and then to some, they said it made me relatable, right? And again, I'm not saying get tattoos so you can be a better brand or figure for your people. All I'm saying is I didn't get any pushback that I know of. I'm sure somebody probably talked about it, but I didn't get any pushback. And in fact, it actually opened the door for some relationships with the people. So,
Okay.
yeah.
My next question, you mentioned that ministry didn't get hard till about 2-3 years into ministry.
Yeah.
Can you detail some of that hard?
Absolutely.
Everybody has some hard.
Absolutely. It was really hard for me personally and pastorally. Personally, because I did not realize at such a young age how people viewed me.
Okay.
Meaning, okay, yeah, I'm in pastoral ministry, but I'm 21. When it got hard, I'm 22, 23. And I didn't realize that there were some people who really looked at me as their pastor.
Oh, you thought youth pastor was a step below, not realizing
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
Your dad is not their pastor.
Yes. Yes.
It's go ahead.
And yes, and so I'm still thinking, oh, I'm just Sam. Everybody knows Sam. That's Sam. That's Sam. And so I didn't think that people were really watching my life. I didn't think that I'm 22, but there's a 25-year-old in that corner really looking at me as their pastor. I didn't realize, and so I thought I could just be me, and you can see the good and the bad. Oh,
It is what it is.
I'm just a preacher who does the young adult thing. I did not realize that people had an expectation of me, whether those expectations were fair or not, because a lot weren't fair, but they were there. And so where it got hard was, again, I got in this at 19. Bro, I'm only 25 now. I just turned 25 recently, right? And I had the burden of growing up in front of people.
Which is a totally different experience.
Of not just growing as a preacher or a pastor, growing up as a man. Dog, it got so bad for me one time. Somebody texts and says, hey, I'm leaving Kaya. Well, what happened? We had a great relationship. Well, I saw you liked a picture that had a gun in it. And I don't think as a pastor.
Hey, bro, I'm not going to lie. I thought you was going to say something a little deeper than you liked a picture that had a gun. But go ahead, so do your thing.
You liked a picture that had a gun in it. I said, hey. She was just like, I don't think a pastor should be liking stuff like that. I said, well, one, the picture I like actually happened to be one of my closest cousins. And I liked his picture. But it was those type of, whoa, like, y'all are really watching.
Yeah, like a hawk.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, now I'm an open book. I made a lot of mistakes, even in pastoral leadership. And again, because I didn't know that I was viewed that way, and I thought, oh, I'm just a young adult guy. But then two, just natural growing pains that every leader makes. And it was, the pressure got heavy. Because also I sometimes wrestle with being a people pleaser. And so I so didn't want to mess up that around that time I lost me. I was so wanting to make sure I was meeting the standard of everybody else that I forgot, wait a minute, Sam, take care of your own soul. And so it got really hard. And then you go through those seasons naturally in ministry where the devil takes a seat. And he tries to sow seeds of discord. And it got really hard. So hard. Winter of 23 going into 24, I take a sabbatical. I tell them it's a sabbatical. To me, that was step one of planning my exit phase.
Oh.
Yeah, I was preaching depressed. You remember that song Ty Tribbett? Preaching, sinking, on the drum, sinking, right? No, that was me.
Yeah.
But because the criticism had gotten so heavy. I mean, heavy, bro.
Yeah.
Some warranted, some unwarranted. I don't want to paint this picture like I'm 100% victim. No, there were mistakes I made, yeah. But it got so heavy. The unrealistic expectation placed on me had gotten so heavy. The betrayal. See, we don't talk about that in ministry. We only show you the highlights. We don't tell you the lowlights.
You can talk about it here.
Yeah. The betrayal that happened in ministry. People I considered family. People who, and you a PK, so I can tell you the worst thing us PKs, and now even as a pastor, we hate to hear. People say, well, I'm with you till the wheels fall off.
Yep, until the wheels fall off.
Where you at? That happened. And so I'm grieving the loss of friendships. I'm grieving the loss of relationships that I thought would last. I'm grieving trying to chase rumors that were so damaging to me that weren't even true. Then I'm grieving the guilt of some of the stuff I know I messed up at, and I'm guilty. I don't even, bro, I'll never forget, man. Stop me if I get too long-winded. But bro, I remember preaching. I'll never forget, it was one sermon. I was preaching, and literally while I'm preaching, I hear the enemy in my head saying, these people are not listening to you. They can't hear you.
I never experienced that before.
So, bro, imagine you're preaching, and yet words are coming out of your mouth, but in your head, all you hear is, nobody's listening to you. And my granddad, I used to hear him say this all the time when he preached. He said, every time I stand up to preach, there are two people that stand with me. Holy Spirit and the enemy. And I used to think, oh, that's just preacher talk. Bro, I lived it. It had gotten so bad, man. I take the month sabbatical. Now, here's the scary thing. I'm being overly transparent because I really hope my story can help, especially a young preacher. Because it's not all what you see on Instagram. If you only live by what you see on Instagram, you're being led to a false narrative.
Yeah, for sure.
And no.
For sure.
Yeah, it gets so hard. I'm battling depression. I'm battling internal conflict within the ministry. And I'll tell you about that, and I'll tell you how great God is through that. And so the beginning of November, I announce I'm taking a sabbatical. I tell them the truth, but it's the half truth. I'm tired, y'all. But what they don't know is, no, I really want to quit.
Like, I'm really tired.
Like, I'm ready to chunk the deuces, just serve under my dad, and that's it. Like, I'm cool. I ain't got to preach. I ain't got to do that. So I take the sabbatical. And here's the danger of doing things out of your feelings and not out of obedience. God didn't tell me to walk away. My feelings did. I was supposed to be gone for 6 weeks. I could only be gone 3. What happened? I take a step back and the ministry spirals. Our attendance is cut less than half. No, more than half.
Sheesh.
It is people
In 3 weeks.
in 3 weeks. What made me come back, bro? Swear to God. God tells me very audibly in my spirit, Sam, go back or you won't have a ministry to come back to. That bad. And I'm not even saying it happened because I was gone. No, I'm not that great. But it happened because I made a decision that wasn't guided by Holy Spirit. And there are ramifications for decisions not made in the Spirit.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that you pointed out that, it wasn't because of who you are, because that applies to somebody who might feel like they're insignificant in the grand scheme of ministry.
Yeah.
If they walk away when they're not supposed to, there's no, or if they just do something that they know they're not supposed to do, even though they're small and they're not Pastor Sam, they could have the same impact.
Let somebody who run the screen not show up. Let somebody who runs lights not show up. Let somebody who start the live not show up.
The person that greet people when they coming in and out.
The person that's giving away gift bags. That stuff matters. And it's what Paul teaches in 1 Corinthians. With one body, many members. And what Paul said, if the toe says, I don't want to be the toe because I'm not the eye, well, the balance is off.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Every piece matters. And yeah, you're right. I hope that encourages you. Wherever God has planted you, whether that's in the church, in the family scheme, wherever, you matter.
Absolutely.
And it's not like a PR response, like, oh, everybody matter. No, like
seriously.
You matter. You matter. So yeah. So I come back at the end of November. This is the end of 2023. We have our last service of the year in December. We go into 2024. Let me tell you how crazy this is. When I told you it was hard, it was hard. Before our first service of 2024, everybody with the exception of one person on my leadership team leaves. Everybody with the exception of one person on the band leaves. The whole praise team with the exception of one person leaves.
The person in the band that stayed, was it the person on the keys?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my brother. You lucked up.
That man is amazing.
Hey, listen, because you don't got the keys.
Yeah. So, bro, it was tough.
Yeah.
And I remember some services. Before I walk in, I would see the parking lot, and I was sad. because dang near half of our ministry is gone.
Yeah.
My whole leadership team, who I leaned on, with the exception of one person, is gone.
Sheesh.
And it almost feels like I'm starting over. So here's the tension though. That while within Kaya, it's like, God, what are you doing? My personal ministry is taking off. So I hope, let me get this lesson in. So while at home where I'm leading, it's like, yo, what? And I hear the talk back, Kaya falling off. Sam ran Kaya down. I literally, one guy before he left the team said, bro, if you were a better pastor, this would have been blew up even more than what it had. He said, we would have had a good year if you were a better pastor. When I tell you he don't understand probably to this day how deep that cut.
Yeah.
Especially because I was giving my best too. So it was deep. But all while this is happening, I'm preaching at the national conventions. I'm preaching at the state conventions. I'm preaching at my itinerary schedule. I can't even be in my home church in the morning. And so the danger was, okay, shoot, if this ain't working out, I could just go here, you know? But what God was teaching me, he reminded me of that lesson he taught me when I was 19. What's your why? Can you stay faithful when things aren't?
Yeah.
And so, to bring it full circle, let me show you the goodness of God. That happens at the top of 2024. 2024, bro, is an up and down year. I mean, personally, I'm good. Like, I'm healing from everything. Because also during that time, my uncle, who was like a second dad for me, he passes away to cancer. My grandmother has a stroke and is now bedridden, and she passed at the beginning of 2025. So even personally, bro, it's a whirlwind. But the faithfulness of God, God taught me a lesson again on faithfulness. Man, here we are in the first quarter of 2025, and let me show you the goodness of God. We got a whole new leadership team, which, again, has become family. We got a whole nother band.
Yeah, I saw that.
A full band. Which their spirits are amazing, and they come in, week out, and they serve God faithfully. We got a whole new praise team. Like, even who you saw tonight, that wasn't even a whole praise team. Like, you know, we have rotations, right? And that worked. And then whereas our and I don't just put things numerically, but like our numbers where it was cut more than half, we're right back where we were plus some. And then, bro, like the spirit around here, bro, is a big happy family.
Yeah.
And all God was telling me was, if you stay faithful in season and out of season,
Yeah.
trust me. Don't trust this. Do it for me.
Don't ever trust the
This
people.
that'll hurt your feelings, and it hurt my feelings. But bro, God's faithfulness, man, and even personally, bro, I'm in a good space. I am in a good space. I love my friends, and my friends love me. I'm having dinner with my family at least twice a week. Bro, I love life.
That's awesome.
And God is faithful, bro.
That's
what this tattoo says. God is faithful.
That's awesome. I got one more question that I have to ask.
Okay.
So you're a young pastor. You mentioned your personal ministry, you know, doing more. You're leading what's happening here with Kaya. And I noticed you're not too young for this, so it's not abnormal. But as a pastor, I noticed you got no ring on that finger.
Yeah.
Man, first of all, is it like a Paul thing where it's like, I don't want this, you know, I wish everybody would be single, but I know is it that?
I'm on the other side.
You on the
Paul
other side.
said it's better to be married than to
Okay.
burn. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm on the other side.
Okay. So what's it like leading as a single man? And is there something that kept you from, like, did you have a situation that you thought would lead there? And like, so just what was that?
Yeah, I did previously, and then I realized God was like, no. Of course, you get in your feelings about
Man, that's
that.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. I was in my feelings, but God was like, nah. So
Listen, if God tell me, you know, with who I'm with now, man, I don't even know.
I quit, God.
I don't even know.
Yeah, bro. So that was that. And if I'm honest, leading as a single pastor, especially in a young adult ministry context, comes with its own set of temptations and tests. Just be very transparent about it, because you got some who are attracted to the anointing, but not you really. So you got to deal with that side. Then you got to deal with the side. God, deliver us from these types who see a pastor and think they can build this church power couple. Whew, crazy work. Crazy. But so you got that. And then you just, people who, have good intentions, but it's just not God's will. And so, yeah, I've bumped my head dating over the years, like any young man has. But God has matured me. And now I'm not moving till God gives me a green light. And so I definitely want to be married. My prayer is I can have a family. I can raise a family in the fear and ammunition of God. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to let the church make me get married. Because that's how you get divorced. Or that's how you build a family that resents God's church.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to tell you stories. Not about, thankfully, I don't have my own stories of the church said be with this person, but I got enough stories around in very close proximity.
Absolutely.
That it's,
So
it don't work out well.
It's not healthy. I'm looking for a woman that I love. I'm not looking for a woman that fit the first lady model. She ain't got to sit in the front row. She can sit in the balcony. As long as you mind in the balcony. As long as you can pray for me. You know, like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a woman who I can love like Christ loves the church. And I'm looking for a woman who loves me. And when God presents her and when God gives the green light, you gonna see a ring, man.
My man. I hope you get to see that as however soon you want to see that. I don't know.
God willing.
I don't know what that is.
I'm open.
Because I've talked to a few people. One of the last pastors I spoke with, so unfortunately his first wife passed away. And he was like, in between the time when he first started dating her and she passed, he was like, man, women have changed. I don't even know, like, he said in the church and outside the church. He was like, they just not the same, which was hilarious to me. So, in your search of in your desire to have a family, I just, God bless you with that.
Thank you, bro.
My only thought there. I got a question for you. Do you have something that you would like to share or let people know about yourself, about ministry, or just something you want to get out there?
Two things. If you're a young adult, DFW, Metroplex, Kaya Dallas, in DeSoto every Sunday evening at 6:30. We have a saying here: the first time you come, you're a friend. The next time, you're a family. So y'all pull up. It's gonna be an amazing time. In July, we have a retreat, and so you guys are more than welcome. Go follow our Instagram page, Kaya Dallas, to get all info on that and just keep up with us. So that's the ministry side. But I really want to just tell a young preacher, or not even necessarily maybe a preacher or pastor, but maybe someone who's new to this journey, or maybe one who's ready to go to the next step. Fall in love with Jesus.
Falling in love with you.
That'll get you, man.
And I know messing with you, we might be in here for another hour if I start.
In his arms. That's good, man. But yeah, fall in love with Jesus. Stay faithful to him. I tell people all the time, especially when people come in and get saved, give their life to Christ, come down for baptisms and all of that. Life with Jesus doesn't make your problems go away. But life with Jesus makes life better.
Come on.
And we live in a day where Christianity has kind of become like a fad, especially for this emerging generation, where we like the Christian merch and we like the Christian sayings and we like the Christian music. But I need to make sure we're not fans of Jesus, but we're also followers of Jesus.
Disciples.
Yeah, we're disciples. And so, fall in love with Jesus. Get you some godly community. Man, Godly Community has helped change my life. Submit yourself to somebody. Get you a pastor. I know we live in a generation who believes in this spiritual DIY. I can have a relationship with God for myself. All right, show me in the Bible where that happens, right? But get you community, get you somebody you can submit to who loves you and actually is invested in your spiritual journey. And then enjoy the journey. And I hope what you've gotten from our conversation is my journey has been up and down, and I've experienced some high highs, and I'm currently in the season of some high highs. Mm-hmm. But also, I hope I've kind of let you into some of my lowest lows. But through it all, bro, this journey with Jesus, God has revealed so much about himself to me in this journey, and I love him more every day about it.
Man.
And so, fall in love with Jesus, fall in love with the journey, and you'll be all right.
Man, I appreciate you, brother.
Man,
thank you so much for your time, your willingness to be open and share.
Yeah.
I hope I can be back and do all kinds of stuff with y'all in the future.
You said that social media, hey man.
Hey, I mean, no, that's remember I talked about paying for stuff. Yeah. That's what I say. But it's seriously though, I do have more things that I do with the church for the church, things that help the people in the church to become financially just on a better level and in a better place. Because we want to do a lot, and then we don't want to have the money to do it. And
Absolutely.
wonder why we ain't doing it. Yeah. And that's a whole nother thing for another day. But
Absolutely.
I want to say that I truly hope that we have more time to just fellowship and be in community, and I can come back and be amongst y'all and just have a good time. I had a good time today.
Yeah,
I appreciate your word. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Samuel Pryor, pastor, and definitely go follow Kaya Dallas on Instagram. I really had a good time today, y'all. I had a good time.
God be praised.
So with that being said, this is how pastors are made. Be sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe. Go to milesbrownonline.com/HPAM. You'll see it on the screen in just a second. Go there to do two things. One, join the newsletter. It's absolutely free, and there's a ton of extra stuff that comes with the newsletter. And two, if you want to donate to the spreading of the gospel, if you want good Christian content, if you want things like this to be able to be produced more, to be able to be produced more often, more pastors from around not just the country, but the world to share their stories, their gifts, and way more other content, because I got some stuff planned that nobody knows anything about.
Yes, sir.
But we need the funds to get it done, so please donate. Again, milesbrownonline.com/HPAM. You'll be able to find the newsletter and the donate button. With that, that's our episode.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
This was a good time.
This was fun.